Welcome to History with Herodotus, where we delve into the vast expanse of human experience, uncovering the intricate tapestry of events that have shaped our world. Today, we embark on a journey to the battle-scarred landscapes of Eastern Europe to explore one of the most pivotal conflicts of the 20th century, the Battle of Tannenberg. The complex system of alliances, forged in the preceding decades, had created a volatile situation where a single spark could ignite a conflagration that would engulf the entire continent. In this tense atmosphere, the German Empire, under the leadership of Kaiser Wilhelm II, was seeking to expand its influence and challenge the dominance of the other European powers. In the years leading up to the war, Germany had been rapidly modernizing its military, adopting new tactics and technologies that would allow it to wage war with unprecedented speed and efficiency. The German General Staff, led by the brilliant and ambitious Helmuth von Moltke, had developed a comprehensive plan for a lightning-fast strike against France, which would knock the French army out of the war before the Russians could mobilize their vast forces in the east. Meanwhile, in Russia, the Tsarist regime was struggling to maintain its grip on power as the country was beset by internal strife and revolutionary fervor. The Russian military, although massive in size, was still in the process of modernizing, and its leadership was plagued by incompetence and corruption. Despite these weaknesses, the Russians were determined to defend their territory and honor their alliance with France, and they began to mobilize their forces in response to the growing threat from Germany. As the summer of 1914 wore on, the situation continued to deteriorate, with each side taking provocative actions that edged Europe closer to war. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo, Bosnia, on June 28, 1914, proved to be the catalyst for the conflict, as Austria-Hungary, with German backing, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, which led to the declaration of war. In the ensuing weeks, the great powers of Europe began to take sides, with Germany and Austria, Hungary forming one alliance, and France, Britain, and Russia forming another. In the late summer of 1914, the German Eighth Army, led by General Maximilian von Prittwitz, was deployed in East Prussia, a strategic region that bordered Russia and Poland. The Germans were aware that the Russians were mobilizing their forces, but they underestimated the speed and determination of the Russian advance. As the Russian First and Second Armies, led by Generals Paul von Rennenkampf and Alexander Samsonov, began to move into East Prussia, the Germans found themselves facing a formidable foe with the potential to outflank and encircle their forces. The Russians, driven by a sense of patriotism and duty, were determined to defend their motherland and push the German invaders back. As they marched into East Prussia, they encountered a landscape of rolling hills, dense forests, and sparkling lakes, which would soon become a battleground. The air was thick with tension, as the two armies began to clash in a series of skirmishes and reconnaissance missions, each side probing the other's defenses and seeking to gain a strategic advantage. As the Russian First and Second Armies continued their advance into East Prussia, they began to encounter stiff resistance from the German Eighth Army, which had been reinforced with additional troops and artillery. The Germans, determined to defend their territory, launched a series of counterattacks against the Russian forces, seeking to exploit any weaknesses in their lines. On August 23, 1914, the Russians suffered a significant setback when their cavalry units were repelled by German infantry near the town of Gumbinnen, marking one of the first major engagements of the Battle of Tannenberg. The Russian commander, General Alexander Samsonov, was undeterred by this initial defeat and pressed on with his advance, hoping to outflank the German forces and encircle them. However, the Germans had anticipated this move and were preparing a trap for the Russians. On August 24, 1914, the German Eighth Army launched a surprise attack against the Russian Second Army, catching them off guard and inflicting heavy casualties. The Russians, taken aback by the ferocity of the German assault, began to falter and retreat in disarray. As the German forces gained momentum, they began to encircle the Russian Second Army, cutting off their lines of communication and supply. General Samsonov, realizing his army was on the brink of disaster, attempted to rally his troops and launch a desperate counterattack. However, it was too late, and on August 26, 1914, the German Eighth Army delivered a crushing blow to the Russian Second Army, capturing thousands of prisoners and inflicting devastating losses. The Russian First Army, led by General Paul von Rennenkampf, attempted to come to the aid of their beleaguered comrades, but were thwarted by the Germans, who had skillfully maneuvered their forces to block any potential relief efforts. As the Russians continued to retreat in chaos, the Germans pursued them relentlessly, exploiting the gaps in their lines and pushing deep into Russian territory. On August 27, 1914, General Samsonov, realizing his army was on the verge of annihilation, took his own life in a forest near the town of Willenburg rather than face capture or surrender. The news of his death sent shockwaves to the Russian high command, and it marked a turning point in the Battle of Tannenberg, as the Russians began to lose cohesion and morale. As the battle raged on, the Germans continued to tighten their grip on the Russian forces, encircling them with ease and cutting off any potential escape routes. On August 30, 1914, the German Eighth Army delivered a final, decisive blow to the Russian Second Army, capturing over 90,000 prisoners and inflicting catastrophic losses. The Battle of Tannenberg had ended in a humiliating defeat for the Russians, marking one of the most significant victories of the war for the Germans. As the Battle of Tannenberg drew to a close, the German Eighth Army had emerged victorious, having encircled and defeated the Russian Second Army, capturing over 90,000 prisoners and inflicting catastrophic losses. The aftermath of the battle saw the Russians in full retreat, their morale shattered by the devastating defeat. The German commander, Paul von Hindenburg, was hailed as a hero, and his strategic genius was widely praised. The Battle of Tannenberg marked a significant turning point in the war on the Eastern Front, as it allowed Germany to transfer troops to the Western Front, where they were desperately needed. In the years that followed, the Battle of Tannenberg became a symbol of German military prowess, and its legacy endured long after the war had ended. The battle was studied by military strategists around the world, who sought to understand the tactics and techniques employed by Hindenburg and his generals. As the German historian Holger Herwig noted, Tannenberg was a masterpiece of operational art, a testament to the power of careful planning, clever maneuvering, and bold decision-making. As it allowed Germany to maintain a strong presence on the Eastern Front while also supporting its allies in the West, today, the Battle of Tannenberg is remembered as one of the most significant battles of World War I, and its legacy continues to be felt. In Poland, where the battle took place, it is commemorated as a national tragedy, a reminder of the devastating consequences of war. In Germany, it is remembered as a great military victory, a testament to the bravery and strategic genius of the German army. The German victory at Tannenberg also had significant implications for the war effort as a whole, as it allowed Germany to maintain a strong presence on multiple fronts, ultimately contributing to the prolonged duration of the war. In conclusion, the Battle of Tannenberg was a pivotal moment in world history, one that continues to fascinate and inform us today. By examining the events leading up to and following the battle, we gain a deeper appreciation for the strategic decisions made by military leaders, the bravery and sacrifice of soldiers, and the lasting impact of war on individuals and societies. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.